All right, Mark here, folks. So I've been researching a lot on COVID-19. I've been reading up on pandemics. You know, the Spanish flu of 1918 to 1919, swine flu, influenza. Just looking, reading up on different viruses, different pandemics, just to kind of like get a better understanding, from the past of how this is going to play itself out. And when you look at the 1918 to 1919 pandemic, which was the Spanish flu, over 50, they said between 50 to 100 million people died. And what caused the Spanish flu was pretty much the war, right? Because you had World War I, and out of the war, the infestation, the rat-infested trenches, the contamination, war. The things of war, the trinkets of war. A lot of soldiers got sick, got infected. Immune systems were weak, obviously, due to the rest of that time. And that's what they believed. That's what they believed introduced this the Spanish flu. Why I read about that and what I researched it is to kind of find out a little bit more about how this coronavirus is going to play itself out. And what's interesting is that when you study the flus, right, which is virology, right, which is the study of viruses, you find out that, there's a saying that corporations don't cure you of your illness because the money is in the treatment. And I've always co-signed to that saying. I always, put my John Hancock on that saying, and I believe it to be true as well. But it's actually a misnomer, right? It's a false description of something, because that's not true. Corporations don't cure you, they treat you because they can't cure you, right? You can't cure a virus. And again, I never knew this. So, and I'm sure the average person probably don't know this. You can't cure a virus. A virus can't be cured, right? And again, if you speak to a virologist, someone who studies virology or study viruses, they'll back this up. A virus cannot be cured. Viruses can only be treated. So this is why corporations and medicines and companies, they vaccinate you, right? A vaccination don't mean they cure you. It's a treatment. A vaccination and vaccine, when you get vaccinated, again, more stuff that I'm finding out, when you get vaccinated, all they're doing is taking the same virus, flu, in this case, the coronavirus, all they would be doing is taking that same coronavirus, the COVID-19, they would take it into a lab, they would, it's called attenuated, meaning they weaken it, they emaciate it, right? And in its weakened version, they introduce it into your body so that your immune system can take a snapshot, a profile, a description, familiarize itself with that virus, then report that information back to the adaptive immune system, because your immune system consists of two functions. It's the innate, so they would introduce it to your innate immune system. Your innate immune system takes a photograph of the virus in its weakened state, weakened version, then reports that back to the adaptive portion of the immune system. The adaptive portion takes that information, routes it to the marrow in your bone, which works with the plasma blood cells, which is your T cells, not the white, the plasma B cells, and with the bone marrow secrete the antibody, so that if and should you get the actual virus, your body has the antibody within the immune system to combat, neutralize the actual virus. So the interesting thing is, the very virus that you are going to prevent or protect yourself from is the same virus used in the antidote, right? But there is no cure in the sense that in a traditional definition of the word, I am cured, because the very fact that they introduced the virus to you in a weakened state to develop antibodies is testament or evidence that the virus is in your body. It's just in a weaker state, and it's actually used as a safeguard against itself in its stronger original capacity. So that's interesting. That's one. So there is no cure for a virus. It's only a treatment. So the money is not, companies don't hold out on cure because the money's in the treatment. The companies hold out on the cure because there is no cure and all they can do is give you treatments. So that's one. That's an interesting take. Second, what I want to say is that as far as this, like I said, looking back at your history so you can know where we're going, here's how the swine flu, which didn't kill that much, it's very small in comparison to the worst outbreak we've had in the history of this country, the history of the world, which was the Spanish flu, again, between 50 and 100 million people. And keep in mind, 100 million people at the time, the population, we're talking about 1918, 1919, the global population was about 1.8 billion. It wasn't even completely 2 billion. By 1935, 33, the crash of 29, around that time, the population grew to about 2.3, 2.4 billion. Today, we're sitting at 8 billion global population. So do the math, 50 to 100 million, and you're talking about 1.8 billion. That's a lot of people, okay? That's a high percentage of the population. So that's the most, right? More people died from the Spanish flu than the actual war itself. So the war was the culprit, or that's where it had its inception, right? The trinkets of war, right? How it ended is what I'm interested in too, though. That's what I was looking at more so, because that's going to kind of give me an idea of how we're going to play out, how this thing might play out. And what I learned is that typically the cycle of these pandemics is usually a 1 year cycle, and they usually come in waves of 3. You have the first wave, second wave. Second wave is where it peaks. The third wave is where it bottoms and kind of dissipates, right? Dissolves. But how does this dissolve and how does it end is what I've been looking at historically. And I came to find out that how it ends is 2 ways. It's 2 ways these things end. And we're talking about all of them, right? Collectively. How they typically end is people die out, right? People die out in large mass numbers. And the very fact that those people are dying out is obviously that's weakening the state of the virus, on a macro scale, right? So you reduce the virus by people dying, right? That's natural. So it's running its course. People are naturally dying. It's being reduced. And second, that's one. The second leg down in terms of the virus dissipating and disappearing altogether is that the others become immune to it, right? So that's it. That's how these viruses pass. They run their course. Hopefully, with technology, we can create vaccines. But if the vaccine, see, here's the thing: this COVID-19 is unique because it's evolving, right? If you've been following the news and reading up on it, you'll see that they're saying that it's evolving, right? Viruses evolve, right? And the reason they evolve is to evade the immune system, right? Or evade it or circumvent it, ways to get around it, the immune system, right? Not being detected by the immune system. So the virus morphs, it evolves, it changes, and that allows it to spread even more rapidly. So it has high velocity. It spreads much more faster by evolving, and this is why it's so hard for them to create the vaccine. This is why they have such a difficult time right now. Moderna saying that they have some kind of optimism with some trials, but they're still not 100% with that done and finalized, but they're making headways. But so there's 2 ways, like I said, the swine flu, you look back at the Spanish flu, the way they ended was people died and then people adapt. And that was it. So people became immunized, right? So they became naturally immunized by the adaptive, and again, that's the adaptive immune system. That's the part of the immune system that actually creates the antibody. So people naturally, and this is all in Darwinism, if you think about it, right? This is evolution, Darwinism, survival of the fittest, adaptation. Those organisms that can best adapt to the environment tends to survive, tends to live, and pass those new genes on into that current climate or that current environment, that genetic pool, to continue the population or continue their generation. So that's how it ended historically. People die out, which reduce the virus, and then those who live are those who adapt. to the virus and develop the antibodies. So the virus never goes away. You just have an antibody that neutralizes it within your body. And then the third way, this is the last the last and most inefficient way, right? Is vaccination. Because here's the thing, it takes time for vaccination to be developed, cultivated, get the approval from FDA or whoever, regulatory bodies or authority. It has to go through that process. So that takes time. And while that time is being is taking its course, a lot of people are being, infected. A lot of people are getting sick. A lot of people are So that's how it. Looking at it historically, that's how it tends to go. So if history can serve as any kind of guide, yardstick, or signpost, that's how this is going to go. If history can be used as a barometer to measure how future outcomes, that's how this is going to go. Nothing's guaranteed. Again, I'm just going based off research and seeing how it played itself out. 1918, 1919, which again, that was the largest pandemic. You had others, but that one was the mother load. So looking at that, seeing how that played itself out, taking a little dabble at swine flu. You look at all these things and you kind of say, okay, if history again can be used as a crystal ball, we can see how this is going to play itself out. And as we can see, they're talking about second waves. You see how we here in New York, we're starting to see it. We're flattening out a little bit. We're kind of like at the low end of the curve. You see other states, they're starting to peak. Not really peak, but they're still on the uptrend. They still got that spike. The trajectory is still going up. They're on the incline. So, we don't know. But one thing I can say is this, though, some more advice. I just bought a ton of immune boosting vitamins. You can go to your local Walmart and get and specifically look for immune boosting vitamins. Like it says it on there, immune boosters, right? Immune boosters. And these are vitamins that says it boosts your immune system. I got some flaxseed. Flaxseed is also good for your immune system, overall immune system. Echinacea, a herbal vitamin, very good for your immune system. So everything I got was pertaining to the immune system. Then I got my regular vitamin D, vitamin C. Like I said, get that flaxseed in there. I got my fish oil. Get that fish oil in there. Definitely get some ginger. I got both raw ginger and I got ginger in its liquid form. You want to get all that stuff. I mean, there's some other stuff I got too. I can't think of the names right now, but get your vitamins. And again, at this point, all your best defense is your immune system. That's it. We're on our own, so to speak, because they can't. Again, it's not a cure in its technical sense. All it can be done is treated, and they don't have the vaccine yet to introduce it to you for you to be treated. So right now it's just about making sure your immune system is strong, and last but not least, their best vitamin is Jesus. You know what I'm saying? You got to pray. The number one thing you got to do right now is pray. You got to have your faith. You got to have God in there. God is your number one vitamin. I mean, calcium, nutrition, everything, God, right? That's your number one thing, your faith. And then practically, though, because faith without works is dead. So make sure you're practical, okay? You have your faith, but make sure you also take steps by getting your vitamins in there and plenty of exercise, folks. Plenty of exercise. Plenty of exercise. All right, till next time. Mark here, Cooking the Books. Peace.